Hey everyone, Matt from Surf City TCG here to talk about my Sauron the Dark Lord deck. It's a powerful power level 8 EDH deck that is seeking to do the Dark Lord sort of stuff. Um, you know, harness evil, kill some hobbits, whatever's necessary. So let's talk about what Sauron does real quick. I assume if you're watching this video, you're already aware, but Sauron is a 7/6 avatar horror for 6 mana in Grixis colors. He's got Ward that requires opponents to sacrifice a legendary artifact or legendary creature in order to target him without their spell being countered. And he has text that says whenever an opponent casts a spell, Amass Orcs 1. And if you're not familiar with the Amass mechanic, what it means is that you'll create an orc army. It's a 0/0 token that will get a +1 counter each time you amass. So if you don't already have an orc army token, you'll create one and it will get a +1 counter. If you do already have one, then the existing orc army that you have will gain a +1 counter, so it'll go to +2. So you never make more than one creature in most normal situations. Your orc army will get larger. And we'll talk about the pros and cons of that and how to take advantage of that in a little bit. Let's just finish going through what Sauron does because he's got a lot of different abilities, as you can see. So whenever an army you control deals combat damage to a player, the ring tempts you. So what that is largely irrelevant. The ring's effects, there's 4 levels of it. I'm not going to go over that. You can look that up if you want to see what those effects do, but I will let you know that they are mostly irrelevant in this deck. Of course, they're going to like come up here and there, but the important thing is what Sauron says when the ring tempts you, which is his last line of text, which is when the ring tempts you, you have the option to discard your hand, and if you do, you draw 4. So you can constantly refill your hand with this ability if you're able to play down to a low hand size. To be honest, I don't use this that often, but there are certain games where it's extremely important and it comes up a lot. It's really pretty easy to hit people with the orc armies. A lot of times they're going to be 1/1s the way I play this deck, and most time people like won't block it. They don't care. They don't even think about the ability on Sauron. Now, I'm not saying you should plan for going against ignorant players, but I will tell you that it's been rare for me to run into a game where someone's blocking the orc to prevent me from discarding my hand and drawing 4. They're usually just making blocking decisions in the way that they would normally, which typically is like not going to block a 1/1. It probably doesn't matter, or something. They're probably going to want to worry about blocking something else I'm ascending, like Sauron, because he's a beefy 7/6. So usually I find it's pretty easy to get the army through, but we do have a like couple of ways to sneak it through. I think I've mainly cut most of the land sources out. Like I was, at some point running Rogue's Passage and Minas Morgul Dark Fortress, but I think right now I'm just running the Black Gate, which means you can sneak an orc army through to the highest health opponent using this land. But it, like I said, it rarely comes up. And we have a couple of ways to trample too in the Reaver Cleaver and Mortal Knife, aka Shadow Spear. These are good ways to get through with orc army damage as well. And then just while we're on the topic, the last way is Black Market Connections. This can make a 3/2 shapeshifter creature with Changeling. Since that has all creature types, it does trigger your commander when you damage someone with the shapeshifter. So definitely keep that in mind because that is often relevant, and I've never had anyone realize that that would happen. So often you can sneak one through undetected with this at least once. So what are we doing to take advantage of Sauron? Because he's obviously quite powerful, but he is pricey, right? 6 mana is a hefty cost. You do get it's a worthwhile investment. Of course, we wouldn't be playing him as the commander if it wasn't. But how do we take advantage of this and ensure that like what we're doing is impactful and we're playing him when we need to, and we make sure he's protected. Even though he's got that ultra powerful ward ability, it is not insurmountable. Um, Especially I'd say nowadays, like there are more and more legendary creatures running around, like disposable ones. Same thing with legendary artifacts. Like there's, Shadow Spear is a good example. It's obviously not an equipment you want to sacrifice for nothing, but when it comes to like destroying an enemy Sauron, like sometimes you're just going to make that tough choice. Same thing with something like the Ozolith. These are like very low mana cost ways to deal with Sauron. And a lot of players are packing effects like Soul Shatter and Shieldred's Edict. They're also very good at dealing with Sauron. So don't just run him out and expect him to live like no matter what. We're packing a lot of counter magic. This is a Grixis deck. This is a power level 8 deck. My build is no hold there. So I'm going to switch over to our types and tags so we can talk about some ways that, you know what, I'm going to try to keep this a little more organized this time. I'm going to start with what we're doing first, which is trying to ramp him out. So this deck is looking to do basically three different things. First is ramp Sauron out as quickly as possible. Ideally, you want to be playing him on turn 4, and we have numerous ways to do that. We have numerous ways to play him sooner than that, but I think turn 4 is realistic, and you should target that with your mulligans, at least like your first mulligan, if not maybe your second as well. We're going to do some mulligan practice at the end of this, so don't worry, we'll run through some examples, but you should not be keeping hand. Take more mulligans, and you'll become a better player. It can be really hard to mulligan a like 3 or 4 land hand that seems like you've got like a little bit of action, but honestly, you should be looking for a great hand, not just a good hand, especially in a power level deck like this. So, how are we going to ramp Zoran out on turn 4? Well, I'm going to assume we're not missing any of the land drops. We're playing 37 land, including MDFCs. It's usually not unreasonable to say like we're going to hit our first 4 land drops. I think that's quite realistic. And then let's sort by mana value, and we can look at the different ways in which we can get Sauron ramped out on turn 4. So, assuming we have 4 land and they're not anything special like an Ancient Tomb, we've got 4 mana from our land, right? Meaning we just need 2 other mana to be able to cast Sauron on turn 4. So, how can we do that? Jeweled Lotus is obviously an easy one. This can let you play Sauron on turn 2, potentially, if you've got a mana vault, or I'm sorry, a mana crypt. Mana Crypt, speaking of which, same thing with Soul Ring. Both of those will allow you to play Sauron on turn 4, obviously. Dark Ritual will get you there. Mana Drain can get you there if you use it um, at the right spot, like on turn 3, and you have double blue up, and it can get you there. Moon Silver Key, this one's an interesting one. I want to spend a minute talking about this. I feel like this is an underappreciated artifact. It's really good, in my opinion. It can, it's a little bit of a hefty investment. It costs 2 to play and then 1 to sack. But when you sack it, you can find a basic land, which I almost never do, but it's good to keep in mind just in case. Or you can find an artifact with a mana ability. I don't want to spend forever talking about what a mana ability is, but there are some interesting things that count. Anything that produces mana and has an activation, I think is the definition, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. Feel free to look it up if you're interested. But I will tell you that it can find things like Phyrexian Altar, Ashnod's Altar, which we're not running, and it can even find something like Extraplanar Lens, which doesn't appear to have a mana ability, but technically does count. And again, that's a tangent. We're not running Extraplanar Lens, but Moonsilver Key is really interesting because what you can do with it in this deck is, let's say you run it out there on turn 2. On turn 3, you can sack it. So if you've got a Mana Crypt in your deck and you've already got the Silver Key in play, it basically will net you 1 mana if you grab Mana Crypt, right? Because it costs 1 to activate. You put Mana Crypt in your hand, you play it for free, and you tap it for 2 mana, so you end up +1. So that's a very powerful play. Keep that in mind when you're playing Moonsilver Key. You can also grab Jeweled Lotus with it, which can help you get there with Sauron, running him out maybe even on turn 3. So this card's very, very good. I quite like it. Coalition Relic. Another underappreciated artifact, in my opinion, Mana Rock. This is so much better than Chromatic Lantern. I can't even tell you. Like anyone who's running Chromatic Lantern, like I don't get it. I mean, I know I have access to like this ultra expensive mana base and I can run all of the lands I want, and that definitely helps. I get it. But Coalition Relic is so good because, especially in a 6 mana commander, like I run this in my Shelob deck too, because you run this out on turn 3, and then what you can do is you can, instead of tapping it for mana, you can tap it to put a charge counter on it. And then when you go to your next turn, you untap with 3 land. The Coalition Relic charge counter comes off, giving you a mana in your main phase. So you've got the 3 from your land, you've got the 1 from the charge counter, then you play a 4th land, and then you can tap the relic for mana that turn. So you've got your 4 from lands, you've got the 1 from the charge counter, and you've got 1 from tapping relic on that turn. Boom, 6 mana, turn 4, with just normal land drops and just Coalition Relic. Really strong. Worn Power Stone, good for the same reason. You run this out on turn 3, it comes in tapped. Yeah, that sucks. But you untap on turn 4, and boom, you've got your 4 land, you've got the 2 from Worn Power Stone, you're playing Sauron on turn 6. That's why I'm running this seemingly bad. I mean, I don't think it's bad, but I would suppose that some people might. I think it's great in a 6 mana commander or in a variety of decks. I feel like this is a mana rock that has kind of fallen out of favor. I think that's wrong. I love it. So Jessica's Will can get us there too if we choose to use just the mana mode, which is not crazy. Like, just do it. If you This is going to allow you to play Sauron on turn 3 or 4. It's worth it. Now, if you've got no card advantage engine, then maybe you don't want to do that. But let's talk about that as our next topic. I guess just real quick before we move past mana ramp, other ways where we can get Sauron accelerated out would be Urza Saga. If you land Urza Saga on turn 1 or 2, you can grab a Soul Ring or a Mana Crypt the turn it pops. You can also tap this for mana before it is sacrificed. It gets sacrificed in your main phase, so that mana doesn't fizzle out, and you can use that mana to help cast Sauron, in addition to the Soul Ring you got for free. So basically, this is a burst of 3 colorless mana the turn it pops. So that means if you played it on turn 1, then you would have 3 colorless on turn 3. You'd have 2 other lands in play. No, yeah, turn 3. You play this on turn 1. Let's say Island on turn 2, Swamp on turn 3. Then it pops. Yeah, so you'd need like a Mana Rock or something in order to get your Sorin out on turn 3 with that. But even without that, you can play Sorin on turn 4 with Urza Saga, which is great. And then Trinket Mage. This is a great one too because it can get Soul Ring, Mana Crypt, or Jeweled Lotus. And that can set you up for a very powerful turn 4 where you run Sauron out. Or if you happen to like get a turn 1 Soul Ring or a Mana Crypt or an Ancient Tomb and are able to play this on Trinket Mage on turn 2, then you can play Sauron on turn 3 potentially with the Jeweled Lotus. So Trinket Mage, fantastic card. I love it. And then, of course, we've got a lot of like tutors that, just generic tutors like these 3. I'm not running Tainted Pact with any sort of combo like with Thassa's Oracle, so I'm just running this since I have no duplicates in this deck. It's a Field of the Dead package deck, and therefore all of my lands are unique. Therefore, you can just use this like a regular tutor. Just like, look at the top, don't want it, put it in exile. Keep going until you find something that works for you. Pretty good card. All right, so we talked about mana and ramp. So we get Sauron out really quickly. What do we do next? Well, we need ways to protect Sauron, and we need ways to. We're running a few board wipes, so often what you're going to want to do is while you're setting up, just like have it. Depends on what commanders you're against, right? So if you see a lot of aggressive commanders, you might want to mulligan for a Toxic Deluge or Blasphemous Act hand, and then just kind of wait, slam a board wipe, ideally a cheap one, and then just place her on the same turn. Or just like mess people up enough that even though you had to spend your turn on it, that like going into your following turn, you're just really powerful. And then we've got 8 different counters, many of which are free. We're running pretty much every free counter, not like all the good ones at least, being Deflecting Swat, Fierce Guardianship, Active Negation. This is cuttable. I'm on the fence about running it, but it can be very strong. Swan Song. I'm not running an offer you can't refuse, but it's certainly addable here. You can replace any of these with that. Like if you don't have one of these, that would be fine. You can run whatever counter magic you have or you want to run, but try to run as much of the free or low cost stuff as you can. That way you can protect Sauron the same turn that you play him. If you don't have all of these specific ones, it's not a big deal. The deck's still going to be good. It's pretty hard to interact with Sauron. Like most of the time, he'll stay safe. But if you plan for the worst, then you're never going to be disappointed. So, what have we done so far? We've ramped, we've played Sauron, we hopefully have a way to protect him. What next? Well, the next thing you want to ensure is that you have a solid draw engine. You might even want to ensure this before you set up Sauron. It really depends on how your hand's looking. We have a few main draw engines in this deck that we're going to look for exclusively. Those would be Mystic Remora. Black Market Connections is fantastic. Heuristic Study, obviously. You ever heard of this card? It's pretty good. And the man itself, the One Ring. So this is what we're looking for mainly. Not only is it thematic, it's just the best. And then stuff like Consecrated Sphinx Italian is sort of a backup plan, but they are fantastic too. Yawgmoth also deserves its own little special shout out for being incredible as a draw engine and a sack outlet, which we're going to talk about right after draw engines. But yeah, seeking out the One Ring is going to be your primary avenue to victory. So don't keep a hand that doesn't have some either solid draw, tutor, or draw engine. Just don't keep one. Don't hope to draw one. That is not going to happen. Like, just again, I'll say this again, but it's really important. Don't keep a hand where you have to draw into something. Expect the worst to happen, and you will not be disappointed. And then if the worst doesn't happen, you draw some good stuff, great. But if you keep a hand with a plan without having to draw into something, you're going to have a lot easier time. So we'll talk about this more when we do Mulligan practice. So what's the plan once we've got our draw engine set up? This is a control deck, right? We're not running any infinites. There might be some int that exist in here, but like I don't play with infinites and I don't like them. But this is a power level 8 deck, so you certainly could. And feel free to like duplicate my deck and make it your own. I'm just going to tell you what I do, which is win with no infinites. We're looking to win mainly via aristocrat shenanigans, like sacking creatures repeatedly. So let's talk about like what that's going to look like. So the last piece that we need to make this all work, in addition to the like actual damage source, which we use one of these guys, Meathook Massacre, Zulaport Cutthroat, Nadir's Nightblade, or Mirkwood Bats. All of these trigger when a creature of yours dies or when you lose a token, which we're going to be losing constantly in the form of both treasure tokens and orc army tokens. And same thing with Mirkwood Bats triggers when tokens die. So the best ones are Mirkwood Bats. I mean, these are all really good. Like they're good for different reasons. Meat Hook functions as a board wipe as well. Zulaport gains you life, which is really good. Nightblade, it gains you life, which is good, and triggers on both orcs and treasures leaving. And then Mirkwood Bats kind of does double. It's when you create or sacrifice a token, either a treasure or an orc. So Mirkwood Bats is probably the MVP. It's going to do the most damage the most quickly. And it's really going to get you there because as you'll see when I go through the actual functionality of how we make this work, this accrues and builds up very, very quickly. So what are we using to sacrifice? We've got 7 different sack outlets here. Some of them are like one-time use only, like Phyrexian Tower, but this is just a great land. So not a big deal that you can only use it once a turn, but you do want a repeatable sack outlet. We've got 6 different ones here. I would not run any less than this. 6 is already low. I think you could run up to 10. So if you're running fewer tutors or fewer like powerful draw engines, maybe add 1 or 2 sack outlets. Like some other good ones are Ashnod's Altar, um, in my considering, I probably have others. So if you go down to this considering, I probably have a bunch of others. Yeah. So Carrion Feeder's a good one. It's only 1 mana. Wool Strider's good. Yahenni's good. Run whichever ones you have, but make sure you're running minimum of 6 sack outlets. Probably no more than 10. I would like stick to between 6 and 10. So you can flex based on how your deck is looking. But these are the things that will like really allow you to go off and make this deck work. So all of them can sacrifice a creature for free and can do it as many times as you want. I mean, these two cost a life each to do it, but your life is a resource. So, like, if you're sacking 30 creatures to Warren Soul Trader and making 30 treasures, I think you're going to be in pretty good shape to win that game, and you don't need to worry so much about your life total. And we do have ways to gain life back. Not only the group slug mentioned methods I mentioned, Zulaport and Nadir's Nightblade, but we've also got Shadow Spear, which can gain you a lot of life, especially if you end up with a big orc army, which does happen some games. And then Meat Hook can gain you life too. So we have ways to get life back. Don't worry so much about your life total. It will rarely be relevant that you're going to lose on life. Either you're going to lose because you lost control of the board state. This is a control deck. Sometimes you're going to get low. Don't stress about it. Just like let yourself get low and, you know, accrue that overwhelming advantage where they're like so frustrated and they're like, oh, if I, you were at 7, if I could have only done that last few points of damage to you, I would have won. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course you would have, but you couldn't. That was the point. This is why I played the way I played. So, yeah, just you're playing a black deck, you're playing a red deck, embrace that like pain for reward sort of mentality, and you'll do well. All right, so how does this all work? We've got Sauron in play. So, how are we generating? I mentioned earlier that you don't make a separate creature for each Amass trigger, right? So how do we have all this like gas and like resource to sack? Like what is making us all of this sack fodder? Well, remember that whenever an opponent casts a spell, we're going to Amass work 1. And if you go back to what I explained earlier about Amass, what happens is if so let's go through what happens when an opponent casts a spell. You've got Sauron in play, and you've got no other permanents, let's say. When an opponent casts a spell, you're going to get a trigger from Sauron that says, hey, an opponent casts a spell. I'm going to create a trigger, a cast trigger to Amass Orcs 1. So you can either let that trigger resolve or you can respond to it. So if you don't have an orc army already, you're going to just let that trigger resolve. You're going to create a 0/0 orc army token, and it's going to get a +1 counter. Now, let's say your opponent casts another spell. Shocking. Turns out players play a lot of spells in Magic. Go figure. So if you've already got a 1/1 orc army and you have a sack outlet, let's say it's a Phyrexian Altar. You can sack your creature to add 1 mana of any color. So you've got this 1/1 orc army already. Opponent casts another spell. Here's where I would usually stop them, and I'm going to post a game after this so you can see how I handle this in a game. But you are going to want to, like, right at the beginning of this, explain to people how this works, just so they understand, because otherwise it can be really confusing. So I would just make sure everyone's on board with what's happening. But you're going to let the Amass trigger go on the stack, which would normally just add a +1 counter to the orc army that you already have. But you're going to respond to that and say, I'm going to sack this orc army first to get 1 mana of any color. So you're going to add 1 black mana to your mana pool, and then the trigger will resolve and it will say, okay, do you have an orc army? No, you don't. Okay, I'm going to create one for you. And then you just repeat this over and over and over. So you're never going to, as long as you have a sack outlet on board, if you keep sacking the army you have in response to the new trigger every time they cast a spell, you're going to create a new orc army every single time. So are you always going to want to do this? Well, not necessarily. Like sometimes you just want to build up a large army. And if you don't have a sack outlet, you'll see how quickly that army really builds up. Like in one turn cycle, it can get like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, even up to like 15 or 20 counters, depending on how late game it is. So sometimes it does make sense to just make a huge 20/20 orc army. Problem is, it doesn't have trample or any evasion, right? So, and we're not running a lot of ways to give it evasion, but we do have 2, like I mentioned earlier, ways to give it trample in Mortal Knife, which is Shadow Spear, gives +1/+1 trample and lifelink. putting that on a 2020 orc army, pretty good. And the Reaver Cleaver, which also gives +1/+1 trample, and whenever this creature deals damage to a player, make that many treasures. Pretty good. This is a way to win games right here. The Reaver Cleaver on a huge orc army, or even just on Sauron. He's hard to interact with. He's got a big butt and a big power already. So putting this on Sauron means it's an 8/7 with trample that has that ward, and it's pretty hard to deal with. And if you're to remove a blocker, like let's say they think like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to throw a 5 toughness blocker in front of Sauron to prevent you from it. Like, at least you won't make 8 treasures, right? And then you remove their blocker before damage. Since Sauron has trample, if he's wearing this, then all 8's going to go through. That's just how it works. Whereas if instead he didn't have trample and they blocked with something and then you remove the blocker, it would still be considered blocked. So trample allows you to kind of cheat around that and remove something at instant speed to really ruin someone's day and make all 8 treasures out of nowhere. So that's a very powerful interaction to keep track of. So yeah, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to land Sauron, we're going to protect him. So we're going to ramp him out, we're going to protect him. We're going to start amassing orc armies every time your opponents play a spell, which is quite frequently. And we're going to try to sack that orc army every time when they cast a spell to one of our sack outlets, which is going to do something. Goblin Bombardment, imagine you have this in play. It basically now says anytime your opponent casts a spell, you can do 1 damage to any target by sacking that orc, creating a new one. And then if you've got one of these payoffs on board, in addition to that, then, so imagine you have a Mirkwood Bats out. You've got a Goblin Bombardment, and you've got Sauron. Just those 3 cards alone, completely deadly, right? Because anytime opponent casts a spell, you're going to sack an orc, deal 1 damage to any target, you're going to amass a new orc, and Mirkwood Bats is going to do 2 damage, or it's going to cause all opponents to lose 2 life. 1 from the orc that you made, 1 from the orc that you sacked. So anytime an opponent casts 1 spell, you're going to do 2 damage to all opponents and 1 damage to any target. Seems good, right? It is quite good. Last thing I'll talk about is the land package. I'm going to switch back to regular here. As I mentioned earlier, I'm running a Field with the Dead package, meaning like I don't have any duplicates, but if you can't afford this mana base, because like most people can't, I'm running all 3 original duels. Like, this is the optimal, in my opinion, land package. You do not have to run this land package. You can totally get away with a normal land package, just play whatever you have. Just cut the stuff that I'm running special because of this. Like, for example, I mentioned earlier the Tainted Pact. You probably don't want to run this if you're running duplicates. You can cut, like, potentially Urza's Cave, although I think it's pretty important to run Cabal Coffers and Urborg in here. I'm running the Lord of the Rings version because it's sweet, which are, what are they called? The Dead Marshes, where is it? Dead Marshes is Urborg, and then Minas Morgul is Cabal Coffers. So it's too perfect. If you have these, I feel like you just kind of have to run them. But the Coffers package is really good in this deck. So I'm playing numerous ways to find it, including like inefficient ones like Tularia West. Urza's Cave is a new land that I'm in love with. Excellent option here. And then a lot of times I'll just use my Vamp or Demonic Tutors to find whichever missing piece to that. And always get Urborg first. I mean, not always, but often you want to get Urborg first because, coffers can be tough to have online without the Urborg. So that's pretty much all the things I wanted to talk about, I think. Any specific questions you have about card choices or like ways to play this deck, feel free to drop in the comments and I will let you know what I think. One big one I want to talk about just very quickly, and I actually had this discussion with someone in the comments, so feel free to check that out. But why am I not running the Roaming Throne? Roaming Throne is excellent in this deck, and I just want to start off by saying that, like, I do not think it's a mistake to run this. In fact, it may be a mistake for me not to be running it. However, with effects like this, like doubling effects or like effects that just enhance your game plan when you're already doing well, I just tend to not like running things like this, even though it's got ward. Again, and I'm going to say this right now. I think I might be wrong about this, but I just don't like doubling down on games where you're already winning. It feels like, it's win more, right? Like, oh, I'm already winning. I want to win more. Like sometimes it feels like that to me. Being said, Roaming Throne, there's although this card is so powerful in so many decks, there are few where it's more powerful than in this deck. This can do some really nutty things with Sauron's abilities, including and maybe especially the ring tempting ones because it doubles that and then it doubles the ring tempting effects. So, long story short, you can end up filtering through 16 cards with a roaming throne in play. So, maybe explore that option if it's something that interests you. All right. Well, thank you for watching the deck guide section. I'm going to run through some Mulligan practice now, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time on that because I find that to be really helpful, not only for myself, but to explain to people how the deck works and to talk about hands you should or shouldn't keep. So we're going to do that now, and then I'm going to post a gameplay video right after that. But thank you very much for watching so far. I appreciate all of the support I've been getting. I'm a new content creator, and I know that I can be a little bit like analytical and long-winded, but I find this stuff really interesting and I love getting into the minutia. So hopefully you're enjoying my content. Let me know what you think and please like and subscribe my videos. It really helps me like stay encouraged and shows YouTube that you're interested and you like my content. So thank you. Let's get into some mulligans. All right, let's see. And I'm going to say this again, like I do in all my videos. I would encourage you to pause the video before you hear what I have to say. Make your decision. Would you keep this hand or would you mulligan? We're going to pretend we don't know who our opponents are, but we might talk about some examples if they come up. So pause here, let me know, or just let yourself know. Would you keep this hand? Um, I think I think it's on the fence. We've got one piece of ramp. We've got one draw spell, and we've got Dictate of Erebos, which is a great card, but it's not good until later game. You really don't want this in your opening hand. And then we've got four land, two of which are fetches. So I'm running one Surveil land. If you are as well, then you'll know that you can kind of see one extra card deep here with that. But that kind of conflicts with what we want to be doing on turn one, which is playing the preordain. If we preordain into like three land, this hand doesn't do anything, right? If we happen to draw like five lands in a row, and what did I say earlier? If you plan for the worst, you're gonna like never be disappointed. So if I were to have like the top six cards of my deck were to be land here, which is unlikely but not impossible, right? Like that is really bad news for this hand because it does nothing. It would allow us to play Sauron on turn five. That is just not good enough in a deck that is power level 8, so I would not keep this hand. And if you would have, I think you need to take more mulligans because this is a good example of a hand that I think, I have no evidence to back this up except for what I've seen in games, but I would expect that a lot of you or just a lot of people in general would have said, hell yeah, I'd keep this hand. I have a turn one play, I have a turn two play, I have four land, this looks great. That can be true in a lower power deck, but this hand is simply too slow for a power level 8 room. You will not do well on average if you keep this hand. So as a first 7, I'd mulligan this. If this was my second 7, I might keep it. Depends on who my opponents are, how fast I think they are. I still might go down to 6 versus keeping this hand, though. That's how potentially bad I think it is. Um, I'm trying really hard to take more mulligans myself, though, so I could be going a little hard in the other direction, but I do not think this hand's a keep. So think about that one. And let me know if you agree, because this is a tough one, I think. So let's mulligan. This is our second 7. All right, we've got 2 land, Dark Ritual, Tainted Pact, a Crowded Crypt, which is a mana rock. We have a sack outlet. We have a tutor, which can basically get us anything we need. I forgot to tell you to pause it. I sort of maybe gave you a hint, but pause it. decide, do you keep this? Is it risky? It is risky. I think it's a keep on second 7. So we could Dark Ritual out our Crowded Crypt. I'm not sure if that is the right play. Yawgmoth's a good draw engine, but only once Sauron is out, right? Tomb is a colorless land most of the time, so that's a little unfortunate. This is a risky one. I think because of the Tainted Pact, we're okay. The question is then, do we run out the Crowded Crypt on turn 1 via Dark Ritual, or do we save Dark Ritual to get Sauron on turn 4? I think that's the play. So let's keep this, let's play it out, see what happens. So let's draw for turn. Ooh, Coalition Relic is interesting. Okay, so in theory, if we were to play this fetch, get a black land, Dark Ritual out the Coalition Relic, and charge it, then we head into turn 2, we get the mana from the relic, we've got another land in play in the Phyrexian Tower, and then we could make up to 4 mana next turn, right? We'd have the 2 from our land, the 1 from the Coalition Relic charge, and then the relic could tap for mana if we wanted. So we could Tainted Pact into like finding a mana crypt and then running out a Yawgmoth. We could Tainted Pact into Jeweled Lotus, but we couldn't play Sora on this turn. We'd be 1 mana off, right? Because we have access to 4 mana. 2 of it would be spent on the Tainted Pact. And then if we found Jeweled Lotus, that would only get us to 5. So we could play Sora on the following turn, even if we didn't draw land, because we would have enough with our sources that are already on board. I This is a really tough one. I don't know what to do here. The slower play, depending on who we're against, is like we grab a. Actually, this fetch land can't get our surveil land because I'm playing the blue-black one, so that's a little unfortunate. It's a lot unfortunate, actually, but it's going to happen here and there. So if we gotta, we fetch something, we play a land, we Tainted Pact the next turn, that finds us, I don't know, like I think we have to go the Coalition Relic play, given that the other play seems just very slow, right? We Tainted Pact turn 2. The problem is we don't have a land follow up on turn 3 potentially, and that seems really bad. So I think we crack this fetch. We've got only black and red cards in our hand. However, I still think we have to get a red land. So I think we're getting bad lands here pretty obviously. So let's grab the bad lands. If you're not playing Badlands, you could certainly get Blood Crypt. Not a big deal. You're going to take 2 extra damage. Won't matter most of the time, so don't stress. We'll tap that. We'll cast Dark Ritual for 3 black. We'll cast Coalition Relic. We'll charge the Relic. We'll add a counter to it, and then we'll say, all right, pass. Go to our next turn. Untap. The counter comes off, so we make a mana of any color. I think we're going to make a blue mana, actually, because we have no blue sources, right? And we're going to Tainted Pact. We want to see what we run into. The other option would be to just use our mana plus 2 land, play. Maybe that's better. Like, we could, yeah, I think that might be better, right? We've got the mana from the relic. We pay 2 more. We cast Crowded, which is a mana rock that also just like can win the game later on. Didn't really talk about this card, but I love it. It's very innocuous, and it can win you games out of nowhere. Anyway, um, now we can still charge the relic, right? So we have options, right? Now we can head into our next turn just like this and charge the relic. And if we happen to draw a land, then we can run out Sauron next turn. Actually, we have a land. We have this that can play in as a black. So I think that is just the play here. We charge the relic, right? This is turn 2. We charge the relic. We let this mana go to waste. We go to our next turn. We didn't draw land, but it doesn't matter because we let the relic make blue off the charge counter. We bolt in this land, getting the Undercrypt, lose 3 life, who cares? And then we've got the blue mana from the relic, plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total. We have all of our colors. Boom, turn 3 Sauron. Responses. Hope to God you don't get strict serenaded. Go to your next turn. All right, we didn't draw land, but doesn't matter. We're in such good shape here. This is turn 4, where we have an orc army that is some size, probably at least a 3/3, probably from each player playing one spell, and we're ready to like rumble here. We could go all in on the Reaver Cleaver and just try to land with a hit with Sauron this turn, which would basically put the game away for us. But that's pretty risky. So if you feel like anyone might have interaction for the Reaver Cleaver or a way to remove or bounce Sauron and get around the ward, don't do that. But if you feel like everyone's tapped out and no one has legendary creatures or artifacts, there's no way they're paying the ward or like fogging you, then sure, just play the. Actually, do we even have the mana for it? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 6, so we'd have to like Tainted Pact for. Yeah, I don't know if this is even really worth it. I guess you could sack the Orc army to Phyrexian Tower to run out the Reaver Cleaver and try to hit with Sauron. That's going to win you a lot of games, to be honest. It's pretty hard to remove an 8/7 Sauron on turn 4. Like, people aren't just leaving mana up to be able to do that all the time. So, other alternative is just play the slow and careful game, run out Yawgmoth, and just that's it. You've got the sack engine ready. So then every time someone plays a spell, you're sacking an orc, you're -1 counter on an opponent's creature, and you're drawing a card. That's gonna like win you a lot of games, just right there. So we could even like ponder into a land, then run out Yawgmoth and just slow play control deck from there. Worry about landing the Reaver Cleaver later. Let's go to our next hand. This one's pretty much done. All right, pause the video. Tell me, would you keep this hand? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I haven't decided yet. We have Soul Ring, which is obviously a point in this hand's favor. We've got a counter spell, a removal spell, Yawgmoth, Orcish Bowmasters, 2 land, and Soul Ring. Um, I mean, like, I don't love it, to be honest. I think it's good enough. Like, it's hard to say no to turn 1 Soul Ring. Or turn 2 Soul Ring might be the play here. Turn 1 Soul Ring into, you know, we could like name human on the paths to be able to play Yawgmoth. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to play him unless we draw another block source. The problem is we don't like have any gas for Yawgmoth, no sack, nothing to sack. We do have the Bowmasters, which can generate some orcs, but not necessarily, right? So I don't know. This hand's pretty iffy, to be honest. Like, I'm kind of inclined to mulligan it. Like, I hate to mulligan a Soul Ring hand. Let's keep it. I think we can get a Surveil land with the Misty Rainforest, but if you said mulligan, like, I don't think that you're wrong here. I think this is a close call. So let's just play it out and see how it goes. And if, I don't want to be results oriented and say, like, if it doesn't work out, that means that we made the wrong decision. That's not necessarily true. Some of the time you're going to make the right decision and it's still not going to work out. Doesn't mean you made the wrong decision. So just remember that in life and in Magic, because I feel like a lot of people make that mistake and make results oriented decisions and say like, oh, look, I drew a bad 6, therefore I should not have gone to 6. That's going to lead you to further and additional bad decisions in the future. Just understand and be satisfied with the decision you make. And even if it doesn't work out, take comfort in like knowing that you made the right decision, giving the information you had. And maybe next time you'd make a different decision because life's all about learning and like, adjusting based on the data that you receive, right? So yeah, anyway, I don't belabor the point. Let's just play this one up. Draw. Okay. So interesting decision right away. Obviously we'd love to play the Field of the Dead right now. I don't think that's the right play. I think our two options are play the fetch and get the Surveil land, or play Paths of the Dead. Do we name human? We only have one black source still. might be worth it. It really depends. If you're playing against two or more blue decks, I probably would just save the Paths of the Dead and make sure you name Avatar or Horror for Sauron. But Yawgmoth's a juicy counterspell target too, so it's not like it's terrible to have him be uncounterable. Um, I really don't know what to do here. I think I might just like, for the interest of time, like force a decision. I also think there is value to not playing a turn one Soul Ring because like it keeps eyes off you a little bit, and playing a turn two Soul Ring is like not nearly as bad. That also means we can't play Yawgmoth on turn two. Does that even matter? We don't have a like great way to use him. It's not like rushing him out there that quickly is that big a deal. I think I'd start with the fetch, get the Surveil land. So let's get to sewers, close and shuffle, look at the top. It's a command tower. Huh. Like it's annoying here because I want the command tower, right? We need the colors, but I also want to hit a draw engine that can actually draw us cards. So it sucks to leave a land on top when we know we already have two land in hand. I think I might be riskier and just graveyard this. Could be crazy, but I'm doing it. Deal with it. Let's go to the next turn. Hey, we got there. Check that out. So let's play the paths. Let's name horror here. And let's run out a soul ring. Let's run out Felberstone. And now we've got Bowmasters up. I think regardless of if someone plays something that triggers it, we run out Bowmasters here on end step because we have Yawgmoth in hand. We really want to get the two bodies on the board. Ideally, someone plays something that's going to draw them cards so we can get some triggers off it. But even if they don't, who cares? We shoot someone in the face, we make an orc army, and now we've got gas for Yawgmoth. So we'll go to the next turn. We drew land. Um, okay, so before I decide what land to play here, let's figure out what we're doing this turn, right? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. So we could just play Sauron here, assuming someone is in red. Oh no, we have paths. We have counter souls, so we can make red no matter what. So we're good on colors, right? So I think we run out Sauron here. But if someone's got a problematic creature, like let's say someone's got a Bloom Tender, not a creature you think of problematic necessarily, right? I hope you didn't agree with what I just said, because Bloom Tender is dangerous. If someone's got one, you better believe I'm resculpting that if there's no other better target. You better believe that I'm not playing Sauron here and I'm playing Yawgmoth instead, and I'm killing that Bloom Tender. I might even kill a Bop versus playing my commander here. Killing people's mana dorks, they're not going to like it, but I'm playing a win. I'm playing a game, and you do what you got to do. So I think I'm going to stop here, but what this comes down to is you either play Yawgmoth, you sack these guys, you even sack the Bowmasters here, like it's not a big deal. You just want to get drawing, right? This hand has got no gas. We just need to draw a few cards and see where we get, right? Look at what we draw into. This sets us up forever for the rest of the game. We tutor for the ring and we're set. We've got Swan Song to protect it. Boom, you win the game. You've got Dictate, that's ultra win the game, right? You run out Yawgmoth, you're sacking a creature every time someone plays a spell, which is causing everyone to sack a creature. GG. Let's do one more. All right. Do you keep this hand? Pause. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hell yeah, I'm keeping this hand. This hand is the shit. I mean, the Deadly Relic is whatever. We don't care about that. Same with the Bowmasters, but we've got double tutor into 3 land. This hand is nuts. So I wouldn't blame you if you don't know the deck list that well, but like, man, this hand gets there easy. We can fabricate for Mana Crypt, we can fabricate for Jeweled Lotus, we can DT for either of those, we can DT for like whatever we need here. This hand's just phenomenal. Unfortunately, our fetch land is Arid Mesa again, so we can't get the Surveil land because I'd love to do that this turn. Just like spend the turn dropping Mesa, surveilling away some junk. But this gets there easy. I think what we do is, what do we do? Let's play it out. We true Vampiric Tutor, because like, why not? We just had it all. That makes the decision much easier. We just crack the fetch, we get Badlands, we vamp on opponent's end step, we get Mana Crypt, because, hey, I heard that's a good card. We're paying to win, right? Mana Crypt, opponent doesn't see it. Goes to the top of the deck. Untap, upkeep, draw. Hey, we drew a Mana Crypt. How lucky. Oh, look, we've got 4 mana. That seems pretty good. What should we do with it? Well, I think, like, this is a little tough. Like, we could fabricate for Jewel Lotus here. I want to get the One Ring out. Like, that's my goal here. So, I don't know the best way to do that. Maybe we should have grabbed, you know what? I'm gonna like reverse our decision here. We should have thought this out a little more. I should have thought this out a little more. Maybe you did. I'm gonna grab Soul Ring instead. And the reason for that is we don't really have a good way to spend all our mana this turn anyway. So I'd rather like spend the time investing in Soul Ring. We're going to take a lot less damage in the long run. And having Mana Crypt in our deck still to get later is ultra powerful. So always get Soul Ring first if you have both, because spend your time casting this now and you don't need all your mana, and you've got that option later to get the Mana Crypt, which is ultra powerful. So we ran out the Soul Ring. I think we just fabricate from the ring here. Unfortunately, like they'll get to see it. You know, you could actually convince me that like Demonic Tutor for the ring is a better play here, which seems crazy, right? But they don't get to see what you grabbed. And astute players are going to realize, like, oh, you have 4 mana. I wonder what you're getting. Gee, the card that every single person in the universe would get, right? But it's something about like knowing that it's there versus not that can really like. We don't have a counter here, right? So if we run out the One Ring, like they're gonna all know it's coming. We fabricated, we put the One Ring in their hand. Doesn't mean we have to play it next turn, right? We could instead play. We don't have anything else to play next turn. We could play the other tutor, right? Maybe that's worth. Like, okay, so let's fabricate for the ring. Let's just say we do that because that's obviously the optimal play. It's a narrower tutor and it costs 1 more mana. Uh, Assuming we can, like, if an opponent's not blue, then maybe we have to cast a mana tutor, but I think it's reasonable to assume that one opponent can make blue. Let's get the ring. That goes to hand. Everyone sees it. We have to reveal it because it must be an artifact. Go to our next turn. So we'll drop a land. And I just want to side note here. If we just like slam a land right away, slow down because we have a tutor in our hand. That could matter. Great. So just think about it. Make sure like you're not going to be tutoring for a land because sometimes you are, and sometimes you'll need to. So just slow down a little bit, and you'll end up making better plays, having better games. So we drop a land. We have access to 5 mana right now, right? So what can we do? We could run out the One Ring, hold up our blue mana and pretend we have a counter. We could even telegraph that we have a counter somehow. Like say, I might do that. Because I'll say like someone can make blue, right? Put and like have my hand over the exotic orchard. Like, oh, you can make blue, right? Okay, good. Because I want to keep a blue mana up. So I'll like just push this aside. And that way, like they're thinking, a lot of times people will hear me say stuff like that and be like, oh, you're bluffing. Because I am bluffing. But sometimes you're not, and sometimes it will work on players. So you could do that. You just run out the One Ring. The problem is if it gets countered, that's brutal here. Um, we do have like Demonic Tutor to get us another source. We could also make a safer play like Demonic Tutoring for a counter and then playing it the following turn. We could also Demonic Tutor for, yeah, we could get Jeweled Lotus and run out Sauron. If he gets countered, that's really bad. But it means we could probably run out the One Ring the following turn and recover. We'd have a much slower start because we'd have an 8 mana Sauron, but we'd have the ring in play, hopefully. Tough play. You have to make the call based on your board state. I think I would probably go with the bluff play and try to run out the One Ring here. Let's just look at one more. Pause it. Do you keep this one? This is a keep. We have a way to find the One Ring. We have a counter to back it up. We've got a way to ramp it out. This hand is phenomenal. Any hand with these 3 cards or anything similar is like an ultra easy keep. This is the reason why you should go to 5, you should go to 4 some games. Because if you get a 4 land hand that is like these 4 cards, I cannot even explain to you how much better this 4 card hand is than a like mediocre 7. So do not be afraid to mulligan because of stuff like this. We have powerful cards, we have tutors. We should make sure we have a good hand and stuff to do. I don't feel like we even need to play this out, but I'll do it for true TT, of course. We'll play Saga, we'll add a counter. No plays, unfortunately. Soul Ring would be great, but we don't have it. Next turn, Horn Soul Trader. Sweet. I have yet to draw this card. I'm very excited. It's nuts in this deck and pretty much every deck, but I digress. All right. Next turn, we drew. Okay, Saga to 2. I think we play Mount Doom. Yeah, play Mount Doom. We DT. We get the ring, right? We could also convince me that getting Jewel Lotus is the play here, but the problem is we're gonna have a bunch of colorless mana. Yeah, we won't have enough to back up Sauron with our Swan Song. We would have enough mana, but not enough blue mana. At least not that I can think of, because we can't use any of the blue from Jewel Lotus on Swan Song. So I think we need blue for Sauron, and then we would have no other blue. Well, or we'd have no other one color, right? Because if we played the training center, we're going to have 2 colored mana sources plus the Lotus to make the third color, but then we couldn't cast Swan Song. So I think we get the ring here, even though we've got the Fabricate in hand. That's fine. We can use the Fabricate to get something else like Mana Crypt or Jewel Lotus or Phyrexian Altar. There's tons of good artifacts in here. Don't worry. You'll find a use for it. So let's get the One Ring. And I hope this illustrates like that, sometimes you just have to make the suboptimal play. Like, we'd love to use Fabricate to find the One Ring, right? Just because it's like so much better to keep the DT, which can get anything. But tempo is king. Okay. Don't forget that. You got to make the play that uses the most mana every turn, like uses the openings that you have, because you're not always going to have the same openings. So always remember that. And it's a very, very hard thing to learn. Like sometimes you just have to like discard the hand size. Sometimes you have to just accept that you're going to get milled and it's going to suck. Sometimes you're going to have to take damage when like you maybe could not take damage if you waited a turn. All those things are sacrifices you have to make to be a better player and to understand that like it's very hard for me. Like I grew up with, parents who are from like the World War II era where it's all about saving and optimizing and like, playing games growing up, like, Final Fantasy 3 is one of my favorites. So for all of you older players out there, like, I was one of those guys who's like, can't ever use my potions. I can't ever use my elixirs. I got to save them, right? Got to save them. It doesn't matter that I have like 10,000 of them and there's no way I'm ever going to use all of them. I just want to make the optimal, most efficient play all the time. So it was always really hard for me to break the habit of like doing something like this demonic tutor for the One Ring when I know if I just wait till next turn, I can fabricate for the One Ring. And then I use this lesser tutor and save this powerful one, right? But what else am I doing by doing that? I'm removing the ability for me to actually play the One Ring next turn. And if we wait a turn to play it, maybe someone has counter magic up then at that point. Plus, we have to fabricate for it and we have to reveal it because it's a conditional tutor. So think about all this stuff and like make the suboptimal play sometimes because it is the optimal play, believe it or not. So anyway, let's move on. We grab the One Ring, we go to next turn. We drop a training center. Oh, sorry. Saga goes to 3. We float a colorless, right? So it's up in that thing. It's out of colorless. This gets sacrificed. Now, what do we get? We've got colorless in pool. We're going to be able to play a land. Well, we have to get a mana rock of some kind. So, do we get mana crypt or do we get soul ring? I hope everyone said Soul Ring. There's literally no reason to get Mana Crypt. We could get either, but there's no cost to getting Soul Ring, so why wouldn't we? Let's get Soul Ring. Put those in shuffle. Player Training Center. Let's not forget to do that before we run out the One Ring, because we want to have this Swan Song back, right? So we've got our one floating here. We've got two more, three more. Boom, One Ring. Opponent says, no, I negate that. You're like, I don't think so. I have a Swan. And proceed to win the game. You know, run out Sauron. We've got two of our best deck outlets in hand. We've got Shadow Spear to like just start smashing people with Sauron. Killing them with commander damage is not unreasonable. Sauron is freaking huge, and he is hard to remove. And if he has Trample and Lifelink, GG boys. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to post a gameplay video as well right after this. Please comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you want to see anything done differently or anything you want me to expand or reduce any particular topics. I take all the feedback I receive very seriously, and I'm really appreciative of it. And it's all really meaningful to me. Like I get a lot out of it, and I have learned so much too from the comments and the notes and the suggestions and things I've gotten from people. So really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. All right, I'm gonna randomize turn order 3 times.
Oh, good.
Once, twice, thrice. I'll take a mulligan.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ooh, okay. You know what? Fuck it. We ball. 3 landers, 2 colors, and a 3-color deck. But we have to do it. We really do. As a side note, there shouldn't be any trouble reading my cards, I think. But if you do, I could always read it out and just pull it closer to the camera if need be.
I'll keep.
I'm keeping. Clean 7.
Is everyone ready?
I think so.
All right. I'll draw. Play Rafine's Tower tapped and pass.
Okay. Draw for turn. Play and there's a saga and pass.
All right. Draw. I'm going to play a Plains, tap that for a Soul Ring, and tap that for a Collector's Vault. Insane turn 1, but again, I don't have any of my colors. I pass.
Draw. Reveal 1. Maybe on top and pass.
Untap. Draw. Play Windswept Heath.
Oh, what's going on? This is not the
Tap
right screen.
Fiend's Tower for a Soul Ring. I will sack Windswept Heath to search for a land. I want to search for something with green in it. If everyone's okay with that, to save some time, I'll tap
All
everything
right.
for Kodama's Reach and get the other lands for that and pass.
Valid, valid.
You guys can see my board now, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Sorry,
Urgaza,
I was
Saga, Sauron. You're good.
yeah, I was having some issues with my camera here. Sorry about that. All right, draw for turn. Saga to 2. I'll play an Arid Mesa. Gonna crack that and grab a. Oh, I have to get red. I'll get a volcanic. Two soul rings. Ah, oh,
I can tell we're going for a third soul ring right there on your board. Next turn, next turn.
possibly. I'll cast Ponder.
Valid.
So top 3. I mean, I'm gonna shuffle. I get to draw 2 of these. Yeah, that seems. Actually, I'm gonna shuffle. Draw. And that's turn.
Untap, draw. That doesn't make me feel any better. Fuck. Okay, Selesnya Guildgate comes in tapped. I'm then going to tap for tapping Soul Ring to 2 to tap Collector's Vault, draw and discard. I'm discarding this Plains and creating a treasure token, and then I pass.
Then pass.
Damn.
Okay, untap. Draw. Play a mountain. I'll tap 3 for Lizelle, Blacketh's Champion. And then I'll tap 3 for a Flux Channeler and pass.
Sorry, guys, give me 10 seconds. Okay. Flux Channeler. Ooh, scary. Oh, you're playing like Planeswalker Prismatic Bridge, huh? Interesting. Untap, upkeep, draw. Saga to 3. What am I doing? I'll float a colorless. Crack this. I'll get Jeweled Lotus.
Oh.
Okay, we're gonna play Mount Doom as land for turn because it's appropriate.
Fair enough.
Black, red, triple blue, and colorless.
Yeah,
Great.
you got it. Sauron comes out.
Got it. Yeah, I'll play Sauron. And pass turn.
Ooh.
Did I play a land? I did play a land. Pass.
Untap, draw. Interesting hand. I'm going to play a Tundra for turn. I'm going to tap for 1, 2, and a green to play a Peregrine Took.
Hobbits, kill them.
I swear it's not that kind of deck.
I know, but I'm Sauron.
Fair enough. I'm going to tap 1, 2, cracking
Did
my
that-
treasure to play an Academy Manufactor.
Did that guy bail?
Might be lag issues, if anything.
Academy man.
Yep. Nothing
That's scary.
super crazy, just food
Oh,
and
yeah.
conversions.
Academy man. Not crazy at all. Never has been, never will be. Right?
I mean, at the very least, you get to amass orcs too, I think, since I casted 2 spells.
True.
Yeah, you see, I work with you, you work with me. I don't see the downside here.
Makes sense.
Insane.
Hey, Dan, can you leave? I'll make it private. We're waiting for someone to come back, hopefully.
That guy
Dan?
probably just left because he missed a land drop.
Oh,
Probably, but I still want to allow him the opportunity. I'll just kick you. Sorry, Dan.
I'll leave out the right way.
Too late.
All right. There we go. The land pass probably was alluding to it, but I certainly wouldn't have guessed. I didn't think he was too far off.
Are you still taking your turn,
Oh.
Sayla?
Oh no, I'm good.
Okay.
Untap. Draw. Play Clearwater Pathway, and I will tap 5 for my commander.
Nice.
Proliferate nothing. Pass.
So that's an enchantment on the stack.
Yeah, sorry.
I will Fierce Guardianship that.
Of course you would.
I'm sorry. I'm
No,
scared of
I
that.
No, it's power level 8, free spells. Ain't nothing you can do about it.
Fair enough. I don't think I have a single free spell in here
I do not either.
because
But
I am.
I do.
some people
I'm
flaunt the
sorry.
wealth,
Yes.
Uh,
Yes, pay to win and whatnot. Well, I've been
I
playing
mean,
for.
it is.
I know.
It is play to win. This whole game is play to win.
I've been playing for 30 years though. Like I got my duels when they were $10. So
oh, fair enough.
But
These are just like the 2015 reprints and stuff, so it's like
I do
it's
have
gone
an
down a little bit. Not an
extensive
insane
collection.
amount.
We'll play Badlands as land for turn. I'm going to let's see how much mana do I have. 5.
Just gonna set up some other tokens preemptively.
Not really enough. Okay. I'll pay a black. Oh, I should have taken one from using Mount Doom last turn. I forgot to do that, so I'm taking one now. I'll cast Dark Ritual.
All right.
And 3 black and pool. A blue, that floats me 1. Yeah, that works. Okay. So I'll use 2 of the black floating 1 and a blue from Volcanic for a tribute, or sorry, Trinket Mage. So ETBs, I can find an artifact mana value 1 or less and reveal it into my hand.
Please tell me it's a Soul Ring.
It is
Anything
not.
else is terrifying.
It is not, I'm sorry. Close. There's Mana Crypt. Cast the Mana Crypt.
Alright.
Tap for 3, taking 1 from Mount Doom, and use my 1, so 4 total. Cast Pitiless Plunderer. And then you've got Flux Channeler and Lae'zel as blockers, Soul.
Yes.
And you've got, what do you have over there? Your command, is your commander in
No,
play?
no, my commander ain't out. It's Peregrine Took and Academy Man.
What's, oh, Peregrine's a 2/3.
Yeah,
Right.
he's
Okay.
a 2/3. Nothing too scary yet.
Okay, I'll send Orc Army over at you, and I will send Sauron over at you, Soul.
Okay, so I'm just taking 3 from the Orc Army. I'll take
Correct.
it.
Okay,
That takes 7 from Saruman.
Sauron.
Yeah, whatever.
Saruman.
How dare you? So the Orc Army trigger will go on the stack, which will tempt me, and I can discard my hand and draw 4. But with that on the stack, I'm going to cast a Deadly Rollick on Academy Man.
Okay, he's exiled. I'll get rid of these 2 for now and move them over here.
And then I'm going to discard my hand. It's an island and a coalition relic, and I'll draw 4. And I'll be at ring level 1, and I'll make Sauron the Ring Bearer, because as it should be.
Alright.
Sure.
Untap, draw. What can I do here? It's gonna take a while to do anything super meaningful, so let's instead just tap for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 colorless floating. Bernard comes out. Each creature that I control that's a food or a golem gets +2/2 and has trample. Unfortunately, that floating one's gonna fucking die, but that's besides the point. Yeah, I'm gonna pass my turn. Nothing else I could do there. Missed my land drop, unfortunately.
Sucks.
Untap, draw. I'll play Xander's Lounge tapped. And I guess I will attempt to recast the backside of my card. Prisbridge.
No response.
That's it. Pass.
Okay. Untap, upkeep. I'll roll for crit. 1, 2, 3 is gonna always be damage. I'll take 3. Draw for turn. Cards in hand?
4.
4 as well.
Okay. Tap for 3. I'll
Jessica's.
Jessica's Will.
Yep.
I'll target you, Soul. No response, I presume. I'll make 4 red. I'll exile 3. There's this cave. Demonic Tutor, Tezzeret. Okay. Can't play Tezzeret, I don't think. I'll play the Urza's Cave as land return. I will pay 2, losing a life from the. Actually, we'll do black, lose a life, and 1 for the demonic tutor. I'll get this card. And then I'll pay 1 and 3 for the 1 ring.
Protection, unfortunate.
All right, move to combat. Can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. Okay, that's not relevant. Sauron's going at you, Esika, and Orc Army at you again, Salog.
I will block with Peregrine Took. He will die, exile himself, and come back as a nice little golem. A 3/3 golem with trample.
Sounds good.
I just took it.
Sure. I guess I'll draw. All right, nothing else. Turn.
Untap, draw. Let's see if I can get some value here. Tapping for 1, 2, 3 to play a Nuka-Cola vending machine. I'm going to tap for 1 to tap it to create a... No. I'll instead tap... Oh boy. Yep, I have to. I'm going to tap 2 to tap Collector's Vault to draw and discard. Discarding fucking what? I don't think you're gonna ping me to death, so I'm discarding Blessed Sanctuary, creating a treasure token, and then I'm going to pass.
And tip. Upkeep, Prisbridge trigger. I flip to hit a creature or a planeswalker. Good to know where all my lands are. Mayboro Elder.
That's the Bloom Tender type card.
It's a +1/+1 for each color, and you can tap it to add one of each color.
Yeah.
So it's like Bloom Tender, but a lot tankier.
Yeah.
It's a 5/5, I believe, right now.
Yep. And I'll draw for
Cool.
turn. Play a Mistgate Pathway. Let's do black, white, and 3
Forgot
for
to create
Kara the Inexorable.
No response.
You're good.
And then I'm going to tap... Not that, because I tapped my green source. Oops. Whale. Six, and I played my land for turn. Man, I biffed that one. Ugh. I will just -3 Lizelle. Or not Lizelle. -3 Kara. Down to 2 to exile Sauron. Sacking Lizelle for the ward.
Yep.
And that's it. Pass.
And tap, upkeep, lose 1 from the ring, and then I'll roll for crit. 1, 2, 3's damage. Oh shit. Pretty sure that was 7. So there's 7
Yep,
or 8.
it was. You're
Alright,
good.
thank you. Draw for turn. Okay, that's helpful. I'll play a Phyrexian Tower. That's land for turn. It's not enough. Let's tap the ring and draw it to you. Can you say aloud? Can you just run through your board state with me, please?
Yeah, sure. I've got Bernard, my commander, Peregrine Took, which is currently a 3/3 trampler, but if it dies, it's going to remain in exile forever. Treasure, food, a Nuka-Cola vending machine, which is my new value engine since Academy Man got exiled. I've got a Collector's Vault, which allows me to draw and discard for a treasure, and then a Soul Ring, which is allowing me to just have a little extra mana since I'm missing these land drops.
The Peregrine is a token, right? What your commander made?
Currently, yes, it's a token that my commander made. Basically,
Yeah.
once it dies, instead of going into the graveyard, I exile it, and then I create a token copy that's currently a food golem.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All good, all good. I can sack it to itself if you try to get rid of it to draw a card, but that's a whole nother thing.
I'll pay 2 for a Spawning Pit. So sack outlet that gets counters, and I can remove counters to make spawn creatures. And pay 3. Pay 3 for Black Market Connections. And I'm just going to pass there.
All right. At your end step, do I want to do that? Yeah, fuck it. Why not? I'm going to crack a food to tap Nuka-Cola vending machine. It'll just untap at my untap step to create a second food. And now let's untap, upkeep, and draw. Oh, this is going to be fun. I'm going to tap for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to play a doubling season.
Yeah, I can't do anything else.
Cool, cool.
That's frightening.
By the way, when I created the food, I also created an extra food off of Peregrine Took. Forgot about that. And yeah, I'm gonna.
Wait, what? Don't you create a treasure?
No. If one or more
Oh,
tokens
you just
will be
created a food. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so
Never
I
mind.
created one food, which creates a second food as well, in addition.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Actually, I should just sack these 3 to draw a card, see if I hit a land. Please land. Fuck.
And that makes you
Okay,
6 top treasures.
Yes it does. There you go. You're picking up on it. And I pass my turn.
That seems bad.
Well, it gets bad if you let it get bad. Right now, I'm just chilling.
Untap. Press bridge trigger. Flip to hit planeswalker creature. Sisay the Weatherlight Captain. Off the top. And then draw for turn. Let's see. I will black or green, blue. 2. Yeah. Karth, the Lion Hunter. Or the Lion, not the Lion Hunter.
I have no response.
So I'll proliferate. Or no, that's actually the one that doesn't proliferate it. I'm gonna play an Arid Mesa and sack it, search for land.
Wait, hold on. Don't you have a trigger on card?
Oh, I guess I do. I get to look. I didn't know that was when he enters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Select the top 7. You may reveal a Planeswalker card and put it into your hand. Ren and Realmbreaker. And the rest to the bottom. And then the Arid Mesa, sack and search. I get Stomping Ground. Lose 2, so it enters untapped. Guess I should just leave that open for a sec, because I'm going to tap Stomping Ground, Soul Ring, and cast a Cultivate. Red, white, so all I got left's blue. And green. Green. And blue. So forest on the field, that to my hand. Oh, upside down. I was looking at my hand, not looking at my deck. So green. Yeah, I'll tap my last 4 for Oko the Ringleader, which will proliferate. Then I'll tap Faber Elder to activate Sisay and search for a card. Put it on the battlefield. I'm going to get Chamil the Inner Sun.
Seems
That
pretty good.
one counter spell really did it for you. No more counters.
Exactly.
I like it.
So that'll enter. I'm going to -3 Oko. Find my freaking marker again. So, or no, -1 Oko. Down to 2, make it 3/3. And then I will +1 Kaya and put a ghost form counter on Sisay. I'll move to my end step. I'll have a Camille trigger. So discover 5, which will be Tomic Wielder of Law. And a pass.
Some scary shit happening.
Certainly.
Untap.
You can
Upkeep
always get through
2.
it.
We'll see. I'll roll for Crypt. No damage. Draw for turn. Or, yeah, this is after draw. Draw for turn. Interesting. Black market trigger. I will draw a card and make a treasure, losing 3. I would full send, but I'm already hurting.
Well, that's typically what black would do to you.
Yeah.
Damn.
That is a good draw. gonna play a Morphic Pool as my land return. I just have to do this now. Well,
Terrifying.
pay 7, lose a life. I'll overload a Psych Rift.
Ooh, that's hurting me. No response. Peregrine Took goes to exile. Brenard hand. Doot, doot. Shit.
Okay, I'm gonna tap the ring and draw 3. No, I'll wait. I'll just go to combat and send everything at you, Saylog. It's a total of 10.
All right, that just puts me at 27. Not bad. You're talking to the food guy as if life isn't a resource.
I know I should have sent the commander at you and the others at him. I screwed up at the beginning, I suppose. Whoops. Pass.
All right, untap, draw.
Through them a little more.
Island for turn. I didn't pick up a land, did I? No, I didn't. Okay, cool. Tapping 1 to play a Soul Ring. Tapping Soul Ring to play a Collector's Vault.
What are those permanents you have on the board still?
This is just treasure tokens and food tokens. They're not here,
Oh, okay.
presumably,
They're just...
but like, you know.
Got it. I got it.
Placeholders.
Fair enough.
Actually, do I really want to do this? That would leave me with like 3 mana left, and I'm not a super huge fan of that. Well, might as well pillow fort the fuck up then. Tapping for 3, Ghostly Prison. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 cards in hand, and I pass.
Oh, that's a special guest one. I've never seen that. That's pretty cool.
It's nice. It came in the Karlov Collector Booster Packs.
Nice.
I'll play an island. I'll tap this for a Soul Ring.
Yeah.
Oh, so many cards to play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's still white, red, black, blue, white, red, green, blue, black. Yeah. So 6 for Chamil.
I'll respond. I'll tap the ring to draw 3. And I will crack a treasure for blue and tap a blue and mana drain.
It's all yours.
Gotta use it on that, if anything.
And then I'll tap 5 to recast Prisbridge.
Yep, no response.
I'll discard 2. Sisei and Faburo Elder. And pass.
Tap upkeep, lose 3 from burn counters. Roll for crypt. It's off the screen, but it's a 1, so I'll take 3. And then I'll draw for turn. Um, 6 mana. Sauron cost 8. So that's 5 colorless. Okay, I'll spend 5 colorless, leaving 1 plus black, blue. Yeah, okay. Red, blue. I have to set the creature. Maybe it's worth it. Yeah, I'm gonna sack the Trinket Mage to Phyrexian Tower for double black. So I'll end up with 1 black floating. There's the 5 there. I make a treasure from the plunger. And I'll cast Sauron. Okay, I've got black and colorless floating. Haven't played a land yet. I'll use these 2. Yeah. Use those 2 plus 1 more. Losing a life for a Phyrexian Altar. Okay. Play this Scalding Tarn as my land for turn, and I'll go to combat and send 7 at you, Soul.
No blocks.
Okay. So that'll trigger my commander. The ring will tempt me. I can discard my hand, draw 4 if I want. I think I will do that. Discard 6 cards. Barrow Downs, Teleria West, Snapcaster Mage, Toxic Deluge, Baleful Strix, Yawgmoth. Draw 4. Questionable discards. But it's done. And I'm going to tap the ring to draw 4 now. Oh, I get a ring bearer too. I'll make Sauron the ring bearer. Interesting. Tap Mana Crypt for 2 to play a Felwar Stone. And I will pass turn.
Untap, keep draw, play a Thriving Grove tapped, choosing blue. I'm going to tap for 1, 2, 3 to play a Nuka-Cola vending machine.
Okay. So every
You've got
time you cast, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna shortcut unless you guys want me to go through it every time. But what I'm gonna do is anytime you cast a spell, I'm gonna let the Sauron Amass trigger go on the stack. I'm gonna sack the existing orc.
And then
I'll either make a
create a
mana,
new orc,
or
and
I'll
then
put a counter on Spawning Pit, and then I'll let the new orc come in. And I'll also make a treasure because of Pitiless Hunger.
That's fair. Yeah. I get it.
Okay, so I'm just going to shortcut and increase the counters on these 2, unless I say otherwise.
Fair enough. I'm going to tap for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I'm fine with this 6. Tapping 1 to tap Nuka-Cola vending machine, creating my food token. And then I'm going to tap for 2 to tap Collector's Vault to draw a card, discard a card, make a treasure token. Draw, discarding Bottle Golems. And that's my treasure. And then I'm going to pass. Nothing crazy on board currently.
Untap. Or flip. Ashiok. So you can't search your libraries. Draw for turn. Tap 3 for a Flux Channeler. And then I'll tap black, white. 1, 2, 3 for Kaya, the Inexorable. This will go up to 6 on cast.
Hold on, I might respond to that. Let me think. That's the one that exiles, right? And it makes your stuff. You've got second is a legendary creature, so you don't really have anything that you can sack right now. Right? Do you have any legendary creatures or artifacts in play?
A legendary enchantment and planeswalkers.
Yeah, so the ward doesn't really...
That's fine. Okay. So I'll make a treasure, and I'm going to make 1 mana on the altar this time. It'll be a black mana. So just let me know if you're changing phases.
Nope. Then I'm going to tap 3 for Wrenn and Realmbreaker. On cast,
make a-
proliferate.
I'll make a blue mana on the altar this time.
Then yeah, it's probably for the best. I'm gonna -1 Ashiok and have you put the top 4 cards of your library into your graveyard, surf, and then everybody exiles their graveyards.
All right.
Sure. 2 land, Orcish Bowmasters, and Zulapur Cutthroat.
I will then. I'll -3 Kaya. And I will exile Phyrexian Altar.
Sure.
And then I will move through my phases to my end step.
Okay, so before you go to combat, I'll spend this mana. I'm going to cast a Tainted Pact. So basically, I'm going to exile off the top until I want to stop, or until I hit a duplicate, and I can put whatever card in my hand that I stop. I'm not doing any Thassa's Oracle stuff with this. Just playing
I
it
was
as a
gonna
normal.
say, if this is a Thassa's win,
No.
I'm going to be pissed.
I'm just playing like it for its normal effect.
Yeah. Just as a tutor. Okay.
Thorn Power Stone, Exotic Orchard, Bloodstained Mire, Heuristic Study, Swan Song. It's not worth it.
Do you really tutor for a counter spell? Come
Well,
on.
the thing is, like, I have the ring, so I'm like already flush
You're
with.
on a clock, but at that point, you should be tutoring for win conditions, not dragging the game. Otherwise, you're going to end up losing to me off of food.
To the Dead. Vamp. I suppose I'll take the Vamp and just find what I need. So I'll stop there.
Mhm.
And then I can't. Oh, I can't tutor. Damn.
No,
Oops.
you cannot.
Okay. That was slightly problematic. All right, I'll go to my turn. Actually, how many do you have any blockers, Soul? Just the Flux Channeler?
Just Flux Channeler.
Ashiok is at what, 6?
Yep.
So Sauron would have to waste an attack going at it.
Yeah.
Then you're not going at me.
Remove
Disc
2.
disc gives me a chance to rebound.
You've had like 4 chances to rebound now. You just keep quiet down there.
Fair enough.
All right, I'll pay 1 and remove these 2 charge counters to create a 2/2 spawn. All right, and then I'll go to my turn. Untap. Upkeep. Lose 4. Ouch. Roll for crypt. It's a 6. Return. Let's just draw first. I have to discard a bunch, but whatever. Draw 5.
The clock is now 3 turns.
I'll
No,
be fine.
I really wish I had my smothering tithe out.
Yeah, no kidding. I'll play a Minas Morgul as land for turn. It's a Cabal Coffers. I don't know if I have one. And I have 1 swamp.
Woof.
Seems bad.
Just a little bit.
Oh, I forgot this thing. I'll just make a treasure. Lose a life. Because I have to do something. Alright, I'm gonna keep digging because somehow I didn't draw anything. Play a preordain. Scratch you, then draw. That is something. Yeah, I'll bottom this one, top this one, draw. I'm gonna cast this Mayhem Devil.
That's not good. Shit.
One, 2, 3. And I'll move to combat. I will send Sauron at Ashiok. What is the... Oh, that's Kaya. She's at 3.
She's at 3. Yep.
And can you tell me what Flux Channeler's power and toughness are again?
2/2.
Okay. I'll send all 3 of these at Kaya and Sauron at Ashiok.
Yep.
1/4,
blocks.
1/1, 2/2. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna tap the Phyrexian Tower, sack the spawn for double black. Mayhem Devil trigger. What's Ren and Realmbreaker at?
4.
And you have no creatures or anything, Saylog, on board, correct? I don't think so. I'll send 1 at your face, Soul. Alright, double black and pool. I'm gonna cast a Vampiric Tutor. Lose 2. Single black floating. Get this card. Okay, that'll go on top. Cast a Night's Whisper. So I'll end up with a colorless floating. I'll draw 2. I make a treasure as well, because I sacked something. So I use my colorless floating plus 2 more, taking a damage from Mount Doom. So that's 3 total. I'm going to sack the... Oh, whoops. I have to sack a treasure. So I'll sack the Urza's Cave. Just search for a land, put it on the battlefield tapped. I'll get the Dead Marshes, which is Urborg. So everyone's got swamps in addition to their other types. Alright, crack 1 more treasure, going to 5. And tap the Scalding Tarn for black to activate coffers for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8 black. I'll use 3 of it for a Nadir's Nightblade. 5 black floating. I'll play a Crowded Crypt. 2 black floating. Sure. I'll cast this. I'll pay crack 1 treasure to, and everyone's gonna token I control left, so everyone lose 1, I gain 1. And I'll cast Soul Shatter. So each opponent's gonna sack a creature or planeswalker with the highest CMC among those they control. I know it doesn't hate you, Saylog, but I just want to spend mana. And that's turn. Pass. Oh, I missed a couple Mayhem Devil triggers, but whatever. It's fine.
It happens.
Yeah.
I'm just going to preemptively start untapping.
I have to discard to hand size, so I'm going to discard a fetch land.
Mm-hmm. Anything after that, or can I?
No, I passed.
Cool. Untap, draw. Oof. Okay. That's not great. Okay, so I'm going to tap for white, 1, 2 to play a Mondrak Glory Dominus.
Okay, so with that on the stack, I'm going to sack the orcs. So just like before, except now everyone's going to lose 1, I gain 1 every time. I'm going to get a counter on a Crowded Crypt. I'm going to make a treasure. And I'm going to put a counter on Spawning Pit, which is the sack outlet. And then I'll get 1 Mayhem Devil ping, which I'll send at your face, Soul. And then Mondrak is on the stack. What do you have in play? You have
Soul Ring, Nuka-Cola Vending Machine, Collector's Vault, Ghostly Prison, Lands.
That's fine. No response to Mondrak.
Cool. I'm going to tap Soul Ring for 2 to tap Collector's Vault. I'm going to go ahead and draw a card, then discard a card, discarding, you hate if I can see it, Marching Duo Drone. I create 1 treasure token, which becomes 2 treasure tokens.
They're tapped, right?
No, they're untapped. Nuka-Cola makes tapped treasures.
Gotcha. Oh, this is Collector's Vault. Okay.
Yep. Playing Path of Ancestry as land for turn, ETB's tapped. I'm then going to... I wouldn't be able to do that. So instead, I'm going to... You're going to get a few Mayhem Devil triggers. I should have just tapped it this way because I need the white. Doesn't really change what I'm going to do. It's just going to change the mana used to do it. Tapping for 1 white. I actually could have just cracked the treasures anyways. Cracking 3 treasures. You get 3 Mayhem Devil triggers.
All right,
Playing
3 to your face, Soul.
Smothering Tithe.
Sure. Everyone lose 1, I gain 1. And
Yep.
all the rest of the stuff.
Cool, cool, cool. And
Tithe is
then
fine.
I'm gonna pass from there.
I have something on the end step. I will sack. I'll just sack 2 treasures going down to 4. So everyone lose 2, I gain 2.
Alright.
And then I'll send 2 Mayhem Devils at your face, Soul. And then I'll just sack 1 more orc to Spawning Pit to everyone lose 1, I gain 1.
Dick move. You could have killed me like 5 turns ago.
How?
Doing what
I
you
just
just did.
I just played these 2 on my turn.
I understand, but
I
you
did-
could have just killed me instead of letting me sit here and wait
How-
and wait and wait, because that's just
Couldn't
not
kill you.
fun.
I didn't have any group slug stuff. I had no way of damaging
It's
you.
more like you could have swung the commander earlier. It's
I swung every time I could. I wasn't trying to slow play you. Tell me a
You
turn
were
where I
slow
could have
playing.
done
It is
more.
exactly what you did. You made me sit here
Alright.
and wait, and then just killed me on my turn.
You got it, man.
anyways. It's your turn now. Good luck.
Thanks. This gets a counter. Make a treasure. Keep. So can I kill you right now? 5. Does 10. Each of these doubles. Then we can sack. Not quite. I have to send some attacks. You have Ghostly Person?
Yep. So you have to pay 2 per creature, and then I have a 4/4, which may or may not become very bad.
Gotcha.
Do you pay for the draw?
I haven't drawn yet. I'll lose 5
Oh.
from the ring. I'll roll for Crypt. No damage.
Solid
I'll
roll, solid roll.
Draw for turn. Okay, I will... How much mana do you have available right now?
Currently tapped out, theoretically, of course. No lands, but obviously.
So you'll make 2... How many treasures will you make if I don't pay?
If you don't pay, I make 2 treasures.
You can have them.
All right, I make 2 treasures.
I will play H Training Center as land for turn. You have a 4/4 draft, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I realistically just have to live 3 turns.
Tap 2. Activate the coffers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 black. I'll use 2 of it, going to 7. Plus a blue to cast a Fabricate. And then go get an artifact, put it into my hand.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get the Reaver Cleaver.
Mm. Well, that's gonna be not very good.
Probably.
Poor Ashiok.
True. Do you make red? You don't make red.
No, I do
Red.
not.
Red +2 for Reaver Cleaver.
Mm-hmm.
Pay 3. Going to 2 to equip to Sauron. And then 2 mana. I don't think I can use this to pay for Ghostly Person, though, because I have to go to combat.
No,
so
because, yeah, you would lose it as the phase ended.
it's okay.
Of course, you could just draw more with the One Ring if you wanted.
I don't think so. Good try though.
Hey, just think about it, right? You draw more with the One Ring, you'll eventually end up getting a bunch of treasure tokens from me sacking a bunch of my stuff later. It's a win-win.
That is true, but I didn't think of it, so I'm not going to do it.
Fair
I'll
enough.
send Sauron at you, and I will pay the 2.
Is it just Sauron?
Just Sauron.
Am I allowed to
He,
block it with the 4/4? I'm not sure what the ring does half the time.
good question. You can block it. Yes, it has Skulk, basically. It can only be
Oh,
blocked by, yeah, you can't block
creatures
with
with less
bigger stuff.
power.
Yeah, yeah.
All right,
So
all right.
it's
In
an
response
8.
to attacks, I'm
Yep.
going to crack a treasure to tap Nuka-Cola vending machine to create 2 more foods going up to 3.
Okay. I'll
And then I'm
ping you
going to,
for 1 with Mayhem Double.
yep, you're going to be able to ping me for a lot more later.
Okay.
Cracking 1 treasure to pay for this 1 on his ability, sacking 2 foods, going down to 1, and paying 4 life to give it indestructible. I'll just need an indestructible counter. Don't have those, so we'll settle for a green dice.
Okay.
So you get to ping me for 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Yep. Go for it.
1, 2, 3. And then I'll block with a currently indestructible Mondrak.
Okay. Go for damage.
Stacking those foods gives me a bunch of treasures as well. Specifically 4-tap treasures.
Yep. Before damage, I'll pay blue and black, and I'll cast Resculpt on Mondrak.
What does Resculpt do?
Exile target artifact or creature. You make a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token.
Ooh, fuck. Well, Mondrak's exiled. I take how much commander damage?
8.
8. Fuck.
Yep. And I'll make
going down to 5.
8 treasures, and then I'll sack 13 treasures to
Kill
you?
me. Yeah. That is GG's. Yeah, no.
GG's.
My problem is like the other 2 players ended up getting stuck in a loop of not being able to do anything, and I'm just like, come on, a turn or 2.
Yeah. I could tell, like, you were about to go crazy. And I wasn't trying to slow play. I mean, I attacked that guy every chance I got, so I know
The
he was just
problem is
upset.
it ended up looking like slow play because of the fact that you play a lot of tutors which don't look like they do anything because obviously you're saving them for other points in the game.
Yeah. I mean, like,
And
I was trying to win. I might have had better options, but I did everything I could at
you're
all
playing
points.
the long game, which understandably is good for competitive play, but here it's like it's very much they don't see things in the moment, which is why it kind of looks like you're playing a lot slower than you are. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
I mean, wasn't intentional though, so I apologize if you felt that way too.
No. I know your play style for sure. That's why I knew I wasn't really gonna win, but I wasn't going to scoop mid game.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good game.
All right. GG's.